So, very good afternoon. So, today I'm going to discuss about the few topics of Python, which are basically the continuation of my earlier topics. These topics are required to because the coming assignments are based on these topics. These are nothing but the sequences. These are the topics which are nothing but the sequences based on which we will do the next assignment. The topic that we are going to discuss is list, then tuple, then dictionary. So, what list is? If you know the formal definitions, if you want to know the formal definition of list, the definition will be it's a sequence of values called items or elements. And the important thing for the list, I must mention that the elements can be heterogeneous type of. And how a list can be represented? Within a third bracket and separated by comma. There are various ways through which we can create a list, among which I have one, two written. Look, L1 equal to list. What this list is? This is nothing but the constructor. Earlier I told the function name same with the class name. So definitely it's a constructor. The constructor is a special type of function where the name of the function must be same with the class name. So here list is the class and the name of the function is also list. So definitely it's a constructor. What it does, it is basically when I'm calling this constructor, it is basically create a list which is empty in nature. Look at the variable explorer part. I am showing it by highlighting the part that L1, what it's type saying, it's a list, but it is an empty list. In the very next line, when I'm writing L2, within the third bracket, I'm writing 11, 22, 33, 44. So this is also creating a list with 4 elements. And another point I must told that I told already that a list can be a set of heterogeneous elements. So let me show an example of heterogeneous elements. So if I consider a list with the element, say 11 MCKVIE, then 12, then 12.5. This also create a list with 4 elements. Look. So here the list elements are the heterogeneous type of. Okay? So how we can create a list? By calling constructor. When I'm creating a list by calling constructor, there's another way. First calling is telling that it is basically generating a list which is an empty in nature. But when I'm creating a list, say like this, L4 equal to list constructor. Within this, I am passing the value of the list, say 100, 200, 300, 400. So that also create a list. It is L4. So one way by calling constructor, one way just passing the value within third bracket. Okay. So these are the way through which we can create a list. So first approach is using constructor, and second approach is without using constructor. Next question is how we can access those elements from a list. When I'm trying to access those elements from a list, I must use the index. And like array, in case of list, by default it begins with 0. So if I print the value of L30, L30, print L30. So what it will give? It will give us the value 11 because L3 is just less and it is basically zeroth element. What it has 11 integer. And when I am like string, I discuss about positive and negative indexing in case of string. For the list also it is valid. So the index can be positive and index can be negative. So when I am printing the value of L3 minus 1, so this will give us 12.5 because the L3, the last index is identified as -1 when I'm traversing the list in the backward direction. So it will give us L3 minus 1. That means actually the last index is 12.5. So I hope this you understand what the positive index and negative index does is used in case of list. Next I must talk about the list can be nested in nature also. Suppose I'm creating a list L5. I'm creating a list L5 where the elements are like this: 11, 12. So take different values, say 200, 300, 400, 500, 600, 700. So look at the variable explorer part. It is telling that L5 is a list which has only 2 elements because it is nothing but the list of list. And if you print the value of L50, print L50, what you will get? The first list, not the first element. That is 200, 300, and 400. If I want to access 300 from here, so I need to add one more index. This is the index 1 of the first list. So that's why I must write L501. L501 will give us 300. Why? Because this is the 0th index component, and inside which the index 1 says it is basically the value 300. So that's why I'm getting 300 when I'm writing L501. So list can be nested also. And this way, we can access the element from the and like string, I used the slicing operator in string. I use the same slicing operator in case of list also. Suppose my L6 is equal to L3, say I'm telling it is 1, 2, 0, 1, 2, 3, 4 elements are there. So 1, 2, 3. That means inside L6 I will get 2 elements. What those 2 elements are? That is MCKVI and 12. If I run this code, I'll get the value. Inside L6 we have 2 elements, that is MCKVI and 12. Now my questions is like earlier. When I am changing the value of index 0 of L6, so L60 equal to, instead of MCKVI, I am writing institute. When I am writing L6 institute, so L6 0th position, I am getting institute. So what we can conclude from here that string is mutable in nature. That means we can change the content of the list elements, right? Next thing that I must discuss, that Python have some inbuilt functions which we can implement in case of list. The one of the function is len. What this function says? This function says that is length of the list. That is number of elements present in the list. It is telling that in L3 I have 4 elements. Similarly, I have the function max, which is returning the maximum value from the list. L3, yes, no. Actually, L3 comprises with some string also. So that's why it is giving us error. So I'm taking L4. Instead of L3, if I take L4, yes, it is giving us maximum of L4, that means 400. Okay. Similarly, if I print the minimum of L4, I will get how much? 100. Then sum of L4, another functions in build functions we have. That is sum of L4. That is giving us 1000 as a sum of all the elements. So what I discussed so far, how we can create a list. List can be nested in nature. How we can access the elements from the list by using its index. The index can be positive. Index can be negative. And some inbuilt functions are there which can be implemented in case of list, like max, min, len, sum. We can use the slicing operator in case of list, and lists are mutable in nature. That means we can change the content of the list. Okay. Now, I can create list in another way. Suppose I am writing L7 equal to list of, I'm calling the range function. We are already familiar with range function. What range function does? Say I'm telling it 2 to 11, 2 comma 11. So it will create a list from the value 2 to 10. As we all know, the range function iterates up to n minus 1. Look at the value L7. It is comprises the elements 2, 3, 4 up to 10. A string can be converted also into a list. See, if I write list within string, I have writing mckvi. Look at the value of L8. Check what L8 says. So a string can be converted to a list by using this list function. Now I'm going to discuss the operators which is used for the list. Suppose I am going to use the operator L9. L9, sorry, I'm going to use the operator plus between two lists. One is L2, another one is L4. So L2 plus L4. What L9 gives? It's a combinations of two lists. So it is used to join two lists. Similarly, another operator is star. If I write L10 equal to L2 star 3. So what it will do? It will repeating the number of elements of L2 3 times. So look at L10, where L10 is, yes, 11, 22, 33, 44, 11, 22, 33, 44, 11, 22, 33, 44. So it will repeat the element 3 times. So star is used for the replication and plus is used for the join operations. Now, I'm going to use another operator, that is in. So in operator I already used earlier. So if I write 100, look at the console part, 100 in L4, what it will give? It is giving true because it's a membership operator which will return us a Boolean value, either true or false. If the member present in the list, so it will return true. If the member is not present, then it will return in the false. That is, element is present in the list or not present in the list. It is basically telling that. Next, is operator. Is operator is L1, sorry, L2 is L4. It is returning false. Now, let me explain more about this is operator. So I am writing L11 equal to L2. So I am writing L11 into L2. L11 and L2 are basically pointing to the same object. The meaning of this is that, so if I modify L11, L11 0, L11 0 equal to 100. So L11 gets modified and at the same time L2 also. Why? Because they are pointing to the same object. Look at the changes. L11, I modified L11 zeroth index. When I modified L11 zeroth index, L2 zeroth index also gets modified. And if I write L11, if I use this operator is L2, your operator says it's a true. So is operator returns true if the variable refers to the same object. If it refers to the same object, then it returns true. If it points different object, it returns false. So that's why earlier cases when I execute it, L2 and L4, they are basically different object. So that's why we are getting false. Del operator. Del operator is used to remove elements from the list. So if I write del L11, so what is the consequence? What is the consequence of this? It basically delete the list. It is used to remove the list. And another If I write del L11 0, sorry, L10 0, what it will give? So it will return back the result by removing the zeroth element. It will removing the zeroth element. But when I am passing the entire list, so if I already removed L11, fine, already removed L11. So L11 is no more exist. So if I print L11, it is saying it is not defined because I already called the del functions on L11. And it can be used to remove a particular element also, just I discussed. That is L10 0. When I'm using L10 0, so it is basically removing the zeroth element of the L10. That is list 10. Now, I'm discussing about few more functions which are very much important for the list. So let me share a PPT where the list of functions are shared or written. So before, if I move through from very beginning of this presentations, what it tells, look at the definition. It's a versatile data type available in Python. It's a sequence in which elements are written as a list of comma-separated items between square brackets. And the key feature of the list is that it can have the element that belongs to the different data types. And the syntax of the defining list, it can be given as the value 1, value 2, like it. So this is the way we all know. Okay. So moving to the next slide, it's a list slicing operator. I already discussed. 3 parameters are there. This operator, that is start, stop, and step. Depending upon step, the number of elements will be copied into the list. Okay. Numlist 1. That means it is begin from 1 up to end. Step size 3. So what is the output of it? It begins from 1, matlab, it begins from 2. Step size 3, matlab, next element will be printed as 5, then 8. And then step size 3, no more elements are there. So output is 258. Then append method and the del statement. Del numlist 3. So once created, one or more elements can be easily updated by giving the slicing on the left-hand side of this assignment operator. You can also append new values in the list and remove the existing values. I'm coming to this slide later on because I need to move to the list of functions. So basically here, functions are discussed, append functions, which are already listed in coming slides. So this is the nested list I talked about already, I discussed about earlier. This is the cloning of the list. Here, look at this is the cloning of the list. List 2 equal to list 1. These are both copying to the same reference. Okay. So list 1, list 2, both coming. It's a clone. Then list 3 is here I used the slicing operator. It is created based on element 2 to 5. So 2 to 5 matlab 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So 3, 4, 5, 6 are the element of the list 3. Now, this is the table which is very much required for us. So these are the functions of the list. That is len function, already told, that is len functions. Plus operator already discussed. Repetition, that means star operator already discussed. In operator already discussed. Not in matlab, this is the reverse of in. Max, min, sum, these three functions, this is the inbuilt Python function, basic list operations. Okay, these are all the functions and operators are discussed. Then append functions. Append functions, what it does, it appends the element to the list. That means if I append 10, when I'm appending a 10, that means it gets appended into the list. Count functions, it basically takes a parameter, that is object. I am counting the number of times and that element appears in the list. So if I pass the value 4, how many times 4 appears in the list? This is 1. So this count functions, append functions, look, it should be called by the way list dot function name, where the list is considering list is the my object name or the variable name dot function name. Okay, list dot count, list dot index. Index function, it basically returns the lowest index of the object in the list. That means here the 2. So if 2 occurs many times, it will return the index of 2, that is the lowest index, and gives a value. Okay, error if object is not present in the list. So that is the function of the index on list. Insert function is used to insert an object in the specified index. Okay, at a given index. So index object, that means when this is my list, if I want to insert, use the call function insert with a value 3, 100. That means I want to insert 100 at the index 3. So 0, 1, 2, 3. After 700 gets inserted and remaining elements gets shifted to the right hand side. Pop function, it removes the element at the specified index. If index is not specified, it will remove from the last element of the list. It removes the last element. Okay, it removes the element, not it's a printing mistake. It removes the last element of the list. So 63701249. When I'm writing list pop, the last element is 9, so it gets removed. Print list. Remove functions removes or deletes that particular object which you passed as a parameter. And error if the object is not present in the list. So that is the task of the remove functions. Say remove 0. Remove 0. Okay. So another thing I must discuss in this purpose regarding the remove function. Let me share the programming string. Okay. Where the yes. So this is my programming string. Suppose I have a list, say L4. L4, I have more than 100 in the list. Fine. So when I'm calling L4.remove 100, my question is whether all the 100 gets removed or only the first 100. That is not clarified over there. So I'm using this remove function with the value 100. That will remove the first occurrence only. I'm telling it is remove the first occurrence only. Let me check whether it is what it is removing. So look at the L4. So what is L4? 100, 200, 100, 100, 100, 300, 400. So it is removing the first occurrence. First 100 gets removed, remaining hundreds remain as it is. So that is the very important thing for the remove function. Moving back to the slide. Okay. So that is the remove function it does. So it is not mentioned clearly over here. It tells that removes or deletes object from the list. It is actually removing the first occurrence of the element. Then reverse. It's very simple. It just make the reverse of the list. Okay. If you call the list.reverse, the reversed element gets stored itself. Dot sort, the list gets sorted. Extend. Extend means add the element in a list to the end of another list. When I'm calling extend function, list1 dot extend list2, what it does, the elements of list2 get appended at the end of list1. If I call the function list2 dot extend list1, then what will happen? The elements of list1 gets appended at the end of list2. So that is the task of extend functions. Del already used. Delete the list completely. Clear. This method empties the list. That means it removes the what? It removes the elements. It removes the elements, not the entire list. And the last one that I already discussed, I pass the element within a third bracket. Okay. When I use the list constructor, the element can be passed as a form of a parenthesis also. So just let me show you the thing in the programming screen. So I am creating a list, say L12 or L12. Yes, let me L12 equal to list. I'm passing the elements of the list 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So list gets created. Okay. So I can pass the element as a form of inside a parenthesis also. That is the important thing. Okay. So next, it's a very important thing. That is list comprehension. What it is? Python also supports that list comprehension. What list comprehension says? List comprehension says, if I look at the example of it, what it is doing, cube an empty list. For I in range 11, cubes dot append I cube 3, I to the power 3. That means what it is doing, we all know what append function does. It basically appending the elements. And from I range 11, from 0 to 10, every element get cubed and appended inside appended inside that new list. That is, what is my new list name? That is the cube. Cubes is my new list. So this is not a very good example of the list comprehension. Okay. So list comprehension is when I'm writing code is in list. Suppose I want to add five list. What would be the code of it? What would be the code of it? Let me share my programming screen. So I have a list. Let me comment out this part of code. I'm commenting the existing code. So I have a list, say L1, within which I have 11, 22, 33, 44, 55, 55. Okay. So I want to add 5 with each element. So the very simple code for is this: for I in L1, normally we write it for I in L1, L1 of I equal to L1 I plus 5. I want to add 5 with each element of this L1. So print L1. So if I run this code, L1 of I plus 5, index out of range. I in L1. Sorry. I in L1 means I in, better to write I in L1. L1 I is I is basically the element itself. So I'm writing I in range of len L1. Now I think it's okay for you. Okay. So definitely this will give us 16, 27, 38, 49. Now, if I use this list comprehension, I can write this code in one single line. What is that line? L1 equal to x plus 5. What my x is? For I will write x in L1. And if I write print L1 after it, I will get the result where each element increased by 5. Look at the result. 16 becomes 21, 27 becomes 32, 38 becomes 43, 60 becomes 65. So this is basically the list. The syntax is, first of all, I have to write the expression. I'm writing the syntax. The syntax is I have to first write the expression as I written over here, x plus 5. Then for element in sequence, okay, in SEQ, sequence is my L1. And I can put the conditions over here. That is another important thing which I have not yet used. I can put some condition over here, 780 conditions over here. How I can put the conditions? Look, if I'm writing x is, say, greater than 50, x is greater than 50. When I'm putting this condition and print the L1, look what it does. What it does. What it does. Because in between the initial, what is my initial L1? Okay, let me comment out this part so it will be clear for you. It is giving us 60 only. Why? Because my initial L1 is 11, 22, 33, 44, right? 11 L1, L1 is 11, 22, 33, 44. What I am doing, I am increasing the value of 5 of the element where x greater than 50. X is nothing but the element. We used this kind of x earlier. X in sequence. In for loop, we can use one type of for loop is using range function, another type of is in sequence. So this is the example that is using sequence. Okay. So here I use the sequence. Okay. So x in L1. It's very clear. X in L1. Next, what I mean, I'm putting a condition that is x greater than 50. Only one element is there which is greater than 60. That is 50. That is get 55. So only that element gets increased by 5, and that's why in L1 finally I am getting 60. 55 now becomes 60. Okay. So these are the very simple examples. Now we are moving to the next part of our discussion, that is we can relate the list concept in case of function. That is, we can pass a list to a function, and a function can also return a list. These are the two important things. We can pass a list, and a function can return a list also. And that is the last part that I discussed over here. Suppose I have a list L1, L2, L1 that is comprises. I'm commenting this part now. L1, 11, 22, 33, 44, 55. This is my L1. I'm trying to define a function, def fun, okay, which is taking a list, suppose L2. Suppose I am printing the element for I in L2. So for I in L2, I'm just printing the value of I, that is print I. And when I'm calling this function, I will call in this way fun of L1. So here I am passing L1 to this function as a parameter. So this is the example where I'm showing that a list can be passed as a function parameter. Second point is that a list can be returned also from a function. Suppose instead of this printing, I'm using the same function fun. Okay. Suppose here the function is not taking any parameter. Inside the functions, I am creating a list that is L1. So comprises with the element 11, 22, 33, 44, 55. Okay. And I'm written this L1. Okay. And I'm writing L2 equal to fun of L1. Not fun of L1, only fun. Because fun will return a list. And I'm printing this list by writing fun L2. Sorry, print L2, not fun L2. So print L2. So return L1. Yes. Return L1. It's telling that it's an invalid syntax. 11, 22, Let me remove the variables which are already there. Okay. So return L1. Oh, sorry, the spelling of the return is not correct. RETURN. Okay. Look, so I'm returning a list from a function. This is the example. So that's all for the topic list. I think based on which you can do your assignment, those who are related to the list. Thank you.